my little sound booth. Every time, all you're just gonna say yes. Alright, back on myself. Da 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 da. Apparently trying to connect. So this is me recording vocals. Gonna find audio recording. Let's see. Let's move it back to the place I want to start at. So ideally, I want to start recording here for 8 bars before. So I'm going to go back to my recording. So come. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Slow towards anger. So this is how I record vocals, and I'm recording on GarageBand iOS. I almost forgot what it's called then. So here I am. I open up a session. Then I normally import the track here. I click on the loops. And it takes you all to app loops, whatnot. But instead, I click up here on files. When I click on files, I then import from my files app. It's not requiring my face. And then I go ahead and try and find the song that I want to sing on. For example, I'm going to do this song. I have to do a lot of file sorting when I'm using GarageBand iOS. I always have to then try and find the track I'm looking for. But I do know the title of it. Like, it's really important that you know the title of the song that you're working on. And I just import the track in. I try and ignore the clicker, so I'd normally turn off the clicker there. Put it back in place. Oh, I forgot my number one golden rule when using iOS. You have to click on the plus button at the far end of it and increase the bar, because it automatically sets to 8 bars. I've said this before. So normally I just whack it all the way up, so then I just don't have to deal with it for a really long time. Because if a song is longer, or the audio tape is longer than what you're dragging in, sometimes it doesn't actually show you the full audio detail. So it's really up to you to remember to do that. So I'm going to just drop in here. And I'm going to record vocal. So there's already a vocal track down here that I made by accident when I dragged this too far down. I can click on the little microphone icon at the top, but that's not being placed to sort any settings. But normally I just leave it very bare, because I think the iOS microphone does a good job of capturing guitar and vocals. It really sits nicely in that frequency. So I don't really do much. So I can just press record and start recording. Let me undo that and do this. The truth, why'd you wanna call me soft? Alright, and that's it. That's basically how I recorded vocals every time I'm using iOS. So after I've done that, and let me just listen to it back. I want to disconnect my AirPods, and I'll play towards the beginning. I've noticed as well, I have to do this, record vocals on a whole new project file, because once I start recording vocals on the actual production file, a lot of the files, either they can't take it and end up sounding very compressed, even when I export it to Logic Pro for mixing. So I thought the best solution would be, okay, that's the production project, then this will be the vocal project where I'm doing all the vocals with the harmonies and all the layers. It's all on this one. So then when I'm exporting the project, I'm actually exporting 2 separate projects. Then I'll bring the vocals in with the actual mix of the production, and then I mix it all together like how I would just usually do if I had Logic. Bit more long-winded in that sense if you want to have a very professional setup, I guess. But it is what it is. And now I'm gonna mix even. Pressure makes diamonds. So that's gonna be fun. That's crazy. I don't know why the drums is so forward like that. That's really like the bedrock of this song, you know? I felt that. I actually felt that in my core, bro. I actually need to automate that because it's not meant to actually be like that. All the guitars are mono in this track, but then I just bounce them down together, similar sections, and it ends up being stereo. Very easier to mix. So now that's done. Let's hit it around. Why'd you wanna comfort me? That's me mixing. Ooh. Hold on. Just recorded this vocal stack. Sounds good. And I've been listening to it right now. So this is my session for groove 2. Pretty complex. These areas that I grayed out are kind of vocal ideas that I've been coming up with. So right now I'm gonna record some vocals for, I'll say, a deluxe version of this project. Right now I'm just gonna release simply just the instrumental production of what I can do with GarageBand, but ideally in the future I would like to evolve this project into a full-fledged release EP. I decided for the vocal takes, I've used my iPhone microphone. I've also used my Audio Technica AT2020. I've also put my iPhone inside of this vocal booth. I put my iPhone as well in between my mattresses like this, just so when I am singing, the mattresses absorb the sound. So it does work really nicely with sound absorption, sound treatment in here. My clothes rack, so that also acts as a sound absorber. So I would say I'm pretty well sorted. The room itself sounds as best as it could be acoustically treated. Then I'm going to use this bad boy as well in support. Over the past few months while doing this project, I've been in and out of the hospital as well because I had surgery and I had loads of consultations. Potentially could be skin cancer, so that looming fact is kind of scaring me. But it has made the process of getting this over the line a bit slower, but that's not going to stop me. I'm still going to push through and hopefully everything will be done on time. If not, that's okay. I'm just going to take this project to where it needs to get to at this moment of time. Still feeling pretty good, still feeling pretty optimistic, but yeah, it's now go time. Again, I got my AirPods with me. When I've been working with my iPhone with GarageBand, my AirPods have become my headphones. They are my monitors. They're my primary monitors, if not from my iPhone speakers. That's how I've been listening to my music. I think that's how the music should be consumed, is either through earphones like this, through the phone, or through the speakers itself. Or it can be played on a system if you want to. It's dependent on you. It's just when I'll be working my phone, having intimate outputs such as the speaker, such as the AirPods, keeping in that Apple ecosystem and exploiting the Apple ecosystem, it makes sense for the process. So yeah, for my process, I think that's how it should be. I'm now at the stage where I'm deciding which songs I want to take further. I've made about 15-ish songs. I'll definitely say 15 at most. But since I want to keep it purely production perspective, I'm going to release the instrumentals for, I'd say, 5 songs. Then I'm going to develop the project into an EP or maybe an album because there's quite a few tracks. Or maybe I'll split it in half, kind of idea. But right now, because I'm thinking of time for this project, because I've been so delayed with all these hospital appointments, it's really been dragging me down. I'm gonna focus on the tracks that have had the most work, and I'm gonna mix and master those, and then I'm gonna do it for the project. Then further down the line, I'm gonna add vocals and mix and master that and make it into official EP release. So currently with the mixing process, when I've transferred those 4 or 5 songs that I've made so far for this EP, I've been using Logic Remote to help with the mixing process on Logic. So I've been using my phone as well, part of the mixing process. Even though this project is strictly just GarageBand iOS and producing on GarageBand iOS, another further consideration I'll think of this project is using tools such as Logic Remote now, staying in the Apple ecosystem. Now thinking of the Apple ecosystem, how does it affect all stages of music creation, with production to mixing to mastering? It's another frontier in the same development of iOS music production. However, there's no Logic available for iPhone. However, there is Logic available for iPad. So that's another interesting conversation to be had. I wonder if Apple would consider making an iPhone version if it's possible with the current iOS hardware and software. So yeah, it will be another good application for the practice. But it all comes back to my primary research question, which is to what extent has GarageBand iOS democratized music production practices? And I would say it has done that without even having to use an audio interface at points, without having to use any other instruments, purely just using the synths that are built into the software. It can do that. It is capable of doing that. But the main thing is to what extent, emphasis on to what extent. There's so much room for it to grow, for it to be fully integrated into the Apple ecosystem is one of its strongest points, that I'm able to export my projects on here to Logic, but it does not attain the same qualities as Logic when it comes to further development in music creation, such as mixing and mastering, which is a different conversation outside of music production. But I would say that this is a very powerful device, and GarageBand iOS is a very powerful software. Anyone can pick up their phone today and say that they want to make music, they can, and they will. And if they want to distribute it, they can, and they will. But there's still a lot that Apple can do to make the user experience better, to fully optimize creative output, minimalize the idea that this is simply just a phone. Even though it's very multifaceted, it can be a phone, it can be a place where you look at your emails, a place where you talk to your friends, it's a place where you can take photos and shoot videos. It's everything all in one. And the fact that it is so all consuming in a way can be very limiting to the process as well, because you can't fully function on its own as a DAW. Outside of that argument, can you produce music on here? Yes. If you want to start producing music today, do it, because you can. I literally did it. Yeah, I guess that's the end of my project, really, or the end of this series. Looking behind the scenes of actually making the thing. Kind of sad, but for me, it's not over. But for me, documenting this process, it's reached its conclusion. And I hope more people pick up their phone and just start making something. It's possible.